For your third album, you switched to actual instruments. So why the switch?
I was trying to challenge myself to make a less sample-based record. There's still lots of sampling on the new album. Some of it is, borrowing breaks from records like I've done for years. Some of it is actually sampling acoustic instruments and turning them into sort of virtual instruments and then playing those or programming those. So I guess I'd say that there's more of a fluid intersection point between the live performance, acoustic instruments and, electronic program performance and electronic sounds sort of approach on this record.
So where do you get the live samples from? So not the one that are from albums?
I've got an auto harp I really like. I've got an mbira, an African thumb piano. What else is there? There's a music box on the new album. There's a great organ called the Lowry Cotillion, which features heavily on the song State of the Art. Piano, guitars, bass guitar.
Also some stuff from nature maybe?
Oh, well, I sampled an interesting instrument called the Winton musical fence from the outback of Australia. Yeah.
What is it?
It's a large fence with 5 metal strings. It goes about 25 metres in one direction, 25 metres in another direction in an L shape. And yeah, you can pluck it, you can hit it with things. And there's a resonant sort of chamber on it where the main part of a sound is amplified. So if you put a microphone up there in that resonant chamber, then you can record all these incredible textures that it makes.
So how do you get ideas for these kind of samples?
Well, I stumbled across the Winton musical fence. I was there touring with my other band, The Basics, in 2008, and yeah, we stopped in this town, Winton, and stayed in a small hotel, and somebody told me about the fence, so I had to go check it out. Yeah, kind of thought it was amazing. It was an amazing sense of isolation out in the space there. It's very much out on its own, sort of in the middle of a flat sort of landscape. It's just really interesting. There's lots of really cool sounds that come out of it, so I had a little recorder with me, and I was playing and plucking it and hitting it, getting sounds from it, and then yeah, later I manipulated those sounds into the song Eyes Wide Open off the new album.
So I found that most of the songs on your album feature a lot of genres, from Motown to folk. Where does that come from? I mean, is it also from your neighbor's collection? Or?
Around the time I started sampling, I guess I consciously started broadening my listening. I'd been I'd had a lot of tunnel vision with my listening when I was a teenager. I was really hooked on Depeche Mode and I was hooked on the KLF, and I listened to a lot of grunge stuff when it was popular and played a lot of that in my band, but I was very particular about my music taste, what I liked.
Where did that come from, that particularly interesting grunge, that kind of music?
I had no particular interest in grunge, it just happened to be the thing that was popular and that I found interesting, and because I played in a high school band, guys with guitars and drums, it seemed obvious to cover Nirvana and Soundgarden. But it seemed less obvious to kind of use synthesizers and program stuff when I was listening to bits of electronic music, but I wasn't immersed in any kind of scene. So I guess to me that was actually much more interesting, and that felt more unique to go down there rather than play in a punk band or, make rock and roll music. So I don't know, sampling just, because I've been listening to so many different records and genres over the years, that naturally creeps into the kind of music that I write.
So how did you get from, like you said, grunge was very popular back then?
When I was a teenager.
Right. So how did you get into other genres like Motown or folk? Or that kind of
Motown, I mainly credit my time in The Basics, because I met a guy called Chris Schroeder and we formed a duo at first. We called it The Basics, and we played a lot of early rhythm and blues, early English sort of, American influenced rhythm and blues, and also, a lot of early rock and roll, Mercy Beat, that type of stuff, blues. So I'd say maybe, the first times I really started listening to more old school sort of raw rhythm and blues records and stuff was because of Chris's influence and because of The Basics. And then I guess I've co-opted some of those things for some of the more Motown-y soul type things I've done on my Gotye records.